All right. Welcome to Sanderson Farms live chat. Breaking it all down, answering questions, talking ownership, who to play, maybe one and done. I don't know. Whatever else you guys come up with. Welcome. Get your questions in. This is the Sanderson Farms live chat presented by our friends over at Jock Market. We're going to talk about the Jock Market player pool for this week because there's also big stuff going on for NBA, for NFL. We'll talk about that a bit as well. But get your questions in. Locked and loaded last week. I tried to get through as many questions as I could. There was a ton of them, believe it or not, for Corrales. I was not at the home base, obviously back at it this week. And ready to rock and roll. So drop your questions. Also, again, I keep asking this, I've not committed to this live chat every single Wednesday. I think it's something I want to do if you guys are interested in it. The only thing I ask for is to hit the like button. That tells me you're interested in this each and every week. Try to do it around the same time on a Wednesday. Talk through everything. Let's get to the chat. Tyler Crippen, right off the top, gets nerdy right away and asks, he says, I understand that Zalatoris can get his PGA card by winning. I don't fully grasp what he needs to do without winning to get it though. Can you elaborate on this a bit? So we're going to go super nerdy right out of the gate here. And I don't have it all in front of me, but here's the way that I understand it, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Because he is a non-member on the PGA Tour, he at most can only make 12 starts. He cannot make more than 12 starts on the PGA Tour as a non-member. He can have up to 7 sponsors exemptions, which obviously means the sponsor allows you to play in that event. With his performances, he can gain more starts. So that is exactly what happened at the US Open. He finished in the top 10. He got an exemption into Corrales Punta Cana without having to use one of his sponsors exemptions. Because he had a top 10 last week at Corrales, he got into this field for Sanderson Farms without having to use one of his exemptions. So he still has his 7 sponsors exemptions. He already has one standing invite from Shriners next week. So he's going to play Shriners next week no matter what. He doesn't necessarily need to capitalize with a top 10 this week. But what he needs to do is he needs to get as many FedEx Cup points as the golfer in 125 at the end of last year got. So he's about 98 FedEx Cup points away from this. Obviously, a win gives you 500. Second place would give you, I think, like 235, something like that. So he needs 98 more points to get special temporary membership status. With that status, you have unlimited sponsors exemptions for the rest of the year. Okay, so now he can play a much larger schedule and try to secure that tour card for next season. That's what's going on. Sam asks, I lead my one and done league by 322,000 and our season ends at the Masters. So you've got a couple weeks left to go. Scheffler, Burns, or Munoz this week. I'm on the record saying I think I really like all of these guys, right? I think it is a testament to Scotty Scheffler that he does not have a natural fit, right? That's kind of what we look for. Sam Burns, I think is fine. I think if you're in the lead of your one and done, you've narrowed this down to Burns or Scheffler to try to be a front runner. I do think you just roll out Scotty Scheffler. He is the favorite. I'm very high on Sam Burns, but when we're talking about one and done, there's no natural fits for Scotty Scheffler. He's the favorite to win this week. I don't think you have to do much more than that. Go out and play him. Give us a guy, Ralph, a guy that you like that you didn't have interest in earlier in the week. That's good because we're doing this on a Friday. So let me change you over to the cheat sheet here and we can see. Oh, there we go. Cheat sheet at RickRunGood.com. Some guys that I might have curried favor with later in the week. Interesting. I think, and I don't know how I felt about him on Monday. I think I definitely grew more favorable towards Cameron Davis over the course of the week as I wrote more articles, as more research, as I went deeper into the research. I've been throwing out the stat that there's only 2 golfers in this field, and I can show you this on the strokes gained database. This is the Holy Grail. This is on RickRunGood.com. Since the restart, which is the time frame that I'll go with here, and in this field, of guys with a sample size, right? There are only 2 golfers in this field who have gained at least 1 stroke per round on the field. That's Sam Burns and Cameron Davis, who have gained more than 1 stroke and done it in all facets of the strokes gained categories, meaning they're positive in all 4. So here's Cam Davis. Technically, he's dead even around the green. I'll give him credit for being positive there. It just means that he's well-rounded. That's one guy I've probably grown much more with as the week has gone on, but seeing that he's going to be 22% owned, I think the rest of the industry is also going to be pretty high on. And then Sepp Straka, I think I might have mentioned him in the Monday video because he played the par 72s well. I found that area of the player pool when I started creating lineups to be kind of a dead spot for me. I wasn't really interested in playing some of the guys at the high 7s or even the 7s in general. So I kind of found myself really targeting Sepp Straka a bit more. So I would definitely say that he's someone that I've grown on throughout the week. That's a really good question. Aaron Klein asks, I'm strongly considering 2 vets this week that keep disappointing me, Sergio and Johnny Vegas. Both have consistently disappointed, but grade out high in all models. So I guess it depends on what your model looks like. Sergio always does because of the tee to green stuff, right? And we can look up Sergio and his results here in the strokes gain database. And the thing with Sergio is tee to green, he's always going to be great, right? I mean, go back to Genesis. He's been pretty phenomenal from tee to green outside of the US Open, which he was brutal on approaches. But I bet you I could not even find another golfer. I mean, name another golfer. Who? Let me describe this first. I couldn't find another golfer who has lost this many strokes over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Over his last 13 starts, I probably can't find another golfer that has lost as big and as consistently as Sergio Garcia has on the greens. I am hashtag team no putt all the way, but that's with some exceptions, right? I mean, Keegan Bradley, Benny On, notoriously bad putters, usually have good weeks here and there. Sergio has not. It has been absolutely terrible for 13 straight measured starts. I mean, let's think of another guy. Who's a bad putter? Keegan, notoriously bad putter. Let's see what he's done in his last 13 starts. At least he had this week at the Charles Schwab where he gained nearly 4 strokes putting. I mean, he's bad too, but at least he's had a week where he's been positive. A big positive. At least he had a week at the Sony where he gained nearly 2. Sergio's kind of in uncharted territory for me right now, so I'm kind of out. Johnny Vegas hits it well off the tee, but I think that gets a little bit. I don't know. I don't think it's as important this week because everybody's. I mean, there's no penal rough out there. I'm not too worried about it. Ryan Price asks, is there a way to account for quality of competition when looking at strokes gained numbers? You can have a bit of intuition when comparing 2 guys who have played in harder fields, but is that it? So I've got to dive a bit more into this topic. I think the data golf guys do something called true strokes gained, maybe something like that, where I believe they weigh the strength of field. Don't quote me on any of this. I think they're working on a calculation like that. I don't know how much it differentiates from like the raw strokes gain numbers. I don't know if it's valuable. I don't know if not. I think it's a very good idea. I think it's something we should consider. The data golf guys might have something there. I don't know. Check it out. Let me know. Kyle asks, oh man, I just lost my spot. Hold on. Let me scroll back up. Kyle asks, thoughts on playing Scheffler and Zalatoris on multiple teams together? Sure. I don't know. I mean, Scheffler's the odds-on favorite. I think that these guys, I certainly have concerns about both of them, right? Do their performances outweigh my concerns? Probably. Without giving too much away, like I guess I'll give it away. I played Scotty Scheffler in One and Done in the Run Good One and Done. Because I felt like this was the best spot to deploy him. Do I have concerns? Of course I do. Zalatoris, same thing. He doesn't, he kind of alluded to being really exhausted after the U.S. Open, that it was back against the wall at Corrales for him to finish in the top 10. He has a standing invite next week. Does he not necessarily need to put his foot on the pedal to get to Shriners? I don't know. So I have concerns about both of these guys. I think if I was playing them on multiple teams together, I would want to get some safer guys with them. Maybe go that route. Thoughts on Brian Harman? This is from Matt. As a pivot from chalk in the $9,000 range and Siwoo in the $8,000. So I have Zach Johnson at 6.8%. Basically the lowest projected owned player in the $9,000 range, him and Ches Reavie. 8,000, Siwoo Kim, I have at 12.5%. There are guys that are projected lower in terms of ownership in the $8,000 range, but he would be, in theory, a pivot. Siwoo will start there. Listen, Siwoo's going to be all over the place. He's volatile. I think if you're ever going to get him, you want it at low ownership so that you can take advantage of some of the scorching rounds that we get. We've seen his irons be really hot. Brian Harman, let's look deeper at Brian Harman because he's not a name that I would have been super excited to play this week, but we can see. Let's see what's going on with Brian Harman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cuts in a row. Pretty good. I would be a bit more concerned about this right here, which is his strokes gained approach numbers. It looks to me, again, statistically, he is being buoyed by his short game. That is not something I particularly like to invest in, right? I mean, you can see he's been phenomenal, like really good in the short game in this 6-tournament stretch. I don't really like that. I think that usually comes to an end, or you have a week where you don't make enough putts and that's it. Brian Harman, historically a pretty good short game player, but I don't know. That's not usually the guy I like to invest in, Matt. I think if you wanted to kind of pivot in the 9s, I would probably prefer, Zach Johnson. I'd almost much prefer over Brian Harman. And then in the 8s, Siwoo would probably be fine. Zhang would probably be fine. I'm okay with it. I like Siwoo as a pivot more than I like Brian Harman as a pivot. Where are we at here? I keep losing my spot. Why was Ben on a fade for you and then now you like him? I think it was the opposite. I think I liked him and then now he's a fade for me. No, I think there's two different things here. So I'm not trying to walk the line. I'm not trying to play both sides of this. I rarely do this, but I think you need to consider a couple of things for Ben on. What I described him as on Monday, and he's right here, it was a good pivot play in the $10,000 range. And I still believe that to be true. I have him as the lowest projected ownership of all the 10K guys at sub 10%. So I still believe that he is a good GPP pivot. The other reason that he kind of falls into that is because of how erratic his finishes are. So for example, when he doesn't play well, he misses the cut. When he plays well, he finishes in the top 25. So when I included him in my fade video, I basically said, know what you're getting here. Don't play Ben on because you think he's a safe option. Don't play him because you think he's going to be part of your getting 6 of 6 through. I said play him as a way to garner leverage on the rest of the field so that you can, if he has a good week, be one of those 9.5% that have him. So I think it's a very specific situation in which you need to try to roster Ben on. Jay Link, what up? What's going on? Who's the chalk? Let's look at it. Projected ownership. Who's the chalk? I have 5 guys projected over 20%. Sam Burns leading the way at 27. Scotty Scheffler at 23, Cam Davis at 22, Sung Jae and Doc Redman at 21. That's the chalk, which, by the way, is probably a good time. Let's look at Jock Market real quick, because I think some of these, and I want to sort by salary, some of these guys are going to be really good buy low candidates or pivot candidates. So the ownership to me dictates the market sentiment for the industry for the week, right? So when you talk about Jock market, when you talk about trying to buy low and sell high, I think some of these guys are really good pivots. So let's talk about Jock market for a minute. There is a $250 contest. It's a free contest on Jock market this week. 500 players. It is nearly half full right now. You should go download the app, sign up, and support this type of contest. Support this endeavor. I believe it to be a really good one. So let's sort by golfers who are, let's look at their prices right now. IPO is open right now, and I'll sort by price. And Scotty Scheffler, no surprise, is 7.4 chips. Okay, that's the currency that we're using in Jock market right now. So he's the highest owned. Then you get Mark Hubbard. Where's Mark Hubbard's steam coming from? Where's Mav McNeely's steam coming from? So let's look at the highest projected guys. Okay, so here's a good example. Ben On, four chips. Okay, Ben On at 4 chips and Scotty Scheffler at 7.4 with IPO closing later tonight feels like a pretty good investment opportunity because I want that really high upside guy. That really, if he goes out and finishes T3 or whatever Ben On finished, solo third or T3 last year, that's what I want. And I want to turn his 4 chip investment into, 18 chip investment or something like that. And I want to put together a really great portfolio. Cam Davis at 361 would be someone that I would be targeting right now. Sebastian Munoz, I made the case on Monday for Sebastian Munoz as a guy whose lead-in form this year is better than his lead-in form last year when he won this event. Obviously a really good fit for him, winning a playoff against Sungjae last year, 332 on Jock market. That would be a guy that I'm going to put some bids in on. Who else? Are we off Will Gordon? Will Gordon is being given away right now. We're good on Will Gordon now? We don't want to play him anymore? Davis Riley and Will Gordon are the same price, $2, 2 chips on Jock market. Again, I made this plea or this argument last week. Like, you should be supporting this, right? We don't want to get into a situation where DraftKings, FanDuel, as they kind of already do have a monopoly over this, can raise the rake to whatever they want. We need to support these smaller sites like a Jock market who are doing great things in the industry, who are sponsoring this show, which I was a fan of them before that happened, but much appreciated Jock market. Also, the fact that they have cash markets for big events on the PGA Tour. NFL's been phenomenal. I've made a ton of money on NFL Jock market. And tonight, NBA Finals Game 1, there's a cash market for. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome. I'm already in the cash market for this week on NBA. So support these guys. Seriously, it's a good thing. Hey, Rick, favorite GPP mid-range play? That's from John Jefferson. So mid-range GPP. So I guess we're kind of talking what? 7,500 to 8,500? We'll kind of look at ownership here. So as much as I love Cam Davis, he's probably not the GPP play that you're considering. Looking at lower ownership, Zinzun, right? 8,000, couple back-to-back top 15s in a row. He's boom or bust. That's in his nature. I still am waiting for the Denny McCarthy breakout. Denny McCarthy's finished top 20 here, including the top 10 2 years ago. He's finished top 20 here twice. I still believe he's figuring something out with his irons. The trend line for Denny McCarthy is very favorable. Plus, you combine that with the lights out putting, absolute lights out putting. He's coming in less than 15% projected ownership. Those would be 2 guys that I would target. If you want to include Sepp Straka in there, these guys are poppers, right? Sepp Straka, it might be solo 4th, it might be dead last, but I think that's what you might be looking for, John. Lucas Glover, projected ownership, 13%. Peter Malnati. I don't know if this is the same guy that keeps asking me about Peter Malnati, or if he just, I don't know if there's a Peter Malnati fan club out there. Maybe it's his family that's always asking about him. But let's just look at this and put this to bed and talk about it. I have no idea. I don't think about Peter Malnati a lot. So one here in 2016, as Tom Doherty is pointing out. Let's look at him recently. It's not pretty. It's not pretty, boys. So here's strokes gained ball striking. If you're not familiar with that, that is off the tee plus approach. It's bad. It's really ugly. He lost 6 strokes in 2 rounds at the Safeway. He was neutral at Wyndham, finished 20th there. I mean, looks like a lot of missed cuts to me. Looks like a lot of not only missed cuts, but not necessarily the profile of a golfer I would want to be rostering. A lot of short game magic, a lot of putting magic, terrible ball striking. I don't think he's for me, Tom. I could be wrong. He's not my guy. Blake asks, curious of how projected ownership numbers are formulated each week. I've covered this a couple of times, but for new people, I don't calculate this myself. I aggregate it from 3 different sites. I've been grading them on how good they are, and then I pass along the best ones to you. Seems fair. I got to jump ahead to this. What is my favorite chicken wing sauce? So I might be just like a basic white guy here, but I had Buffalo Wild Wings last night in honor of Sanderson Farms. I got the medium. Okay. They did away with the hot barbecue. I don't know what happened there. They've introduced a couple of different barbecue sauces. They have a Nashville hot sauce, which was mediocre. Shay, I didn't like it. Tried dipping the fries in it. That didn't work out so well. So I can't handle the heat. I like them saucy, medium. I like to dip my fries in a hot barbecue. Might have to petition Buffalo Wild Wings on why they got rid of this. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Jeremy B asks, what outright betting sites are legal in Wisconsin? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't think there is. I don't think Wisconsin, I don't know. I mean, so I have a partnership with William Hill. I think they're in New Jersey right now. I think William Hill's in West Virginia, Colorado, maybe Indiana and Illinois. I don't know what is going on with Wisconsin. Also, if you want a $500 free bet on Will Hill, use code RICK500 or go to rickrungood.com/Will Hill. Get a $500 free bet. It's one of the best offers I've seen so far, but you have to be in New Jersey for that right now. Hoping for more states. Riley or Shank? I can only fit one in my lineup. Good question. I think they serve 2 completely different purposes. So they're both $6,700. Shank to me, and here's Shank, is the safe option. Okay, he's made 8 cuts in a row. It is the longest active streak in this field. It is one of the longest active streaks on the PGA Tour at the moment. To me, he's the safe option. Davis Riley at $6,700, I believe to be the much riskier option. I believe he's missed a couple of cuts recently on the Korn Ferry, but he's also won twice this year on the Korn Ferry. He is a Mississippi kid who made the cut here last time he played, last year. I think his upside is probably higher than Shank's. I think the line, like you could make a pretty strong case that Davis Riley's a better golfer than Adam Schenk, even though one has his PGA Tour card and the other doesn't. The line is very blurred this year with the way that the cards did not, like nobody on the PGA Tour lost their card. So I don't think one is better than the other. I think they're completely different in the way that you want to deploy them. Kyle asked, do you think Zach Johnson is a decent pivot play off Chalk, Burns, and Doc? Yes. I kind of like Zach Johnson this week. What are my thoughts on Gooch? Thanks, Jay, for the support. Much appreciated. We haven't talked about Gooch in a while. You know, he historically was like a top 20 machine, you know, over the last couple of months. Let's see what he's been up to recently. This is what I like about Gooch is he's again, it's relative, right? Like Gooch is what, a top 110 player in the world. But he's a good ball striker and he has really good ball striking weeks, right? So, you know, he gains 7.6 at Workday. That's a top 20. He gains nearly 4 at the 3M for a top 20, top 25 at the Wyndham, same recipe. So I like that he has that upside. Last time we saw him, he missed the cut, but I mean, he lost 3 strokes putting. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay. He's going to bounce back. That was his worst. Let's see. Was that his worst putting performance ever? No, but it was like his 6th worst. So, and it was his worst of 2019 or 2020, excuse me. So I'm I'm cool with thinking we're going to get a bounce back from Gooch this week. Good call, Jay. Thoughts on Bo Hostler? Lives down the street, or at least is from down the street here in Southern California. But yeah, he's a short game guy, right? I mean, I really don't. I just don't buy these guys all that much. I think it's just it's a really difficult path to success for them. Let's see what he's been up to recently. Yeah, I mean, it's just all short game. I just think it's a really tough path. I really do. I mean, you got to go out and you got to gain 7.5 strokes around the green and putting, and that gets you a T23 at the Safeway. Is that his ceiling? Is that the upside? I hate it. He's just not my type of player. Nice guy though. How high are you on Riley to make the cut? I don't know. 50-50. I mean, I think he's more risky than a lot of these other guys, but I think the upside's there. So I'm not playing Riley because he's going to make the cut. I'm playing Riley because he might finish T18 and he might flame out. Like that's not it. Thoughts on Carlos Ortiz? Mark Immelman liked him on the First Cut pod when we went through our picks for the week. So that's the CBS Sports podcast. Mark was very high on Carlos Ortiz. I can't remember why, quite frankly, but I don't know. He's been fine. I don't have a feeling on Carlos Ortiz. I think that's okay. Emmett Smith, Cowboys legend, asks, thoughts on going back to Will Gordon in a week? Yeah, so I do think this is an interesting strategy. So Emmett says, seems like he was very popular last week. Course gives no reason not to go back to him. I tend to agree. I think he was very popular last week. He left a lot of jaded owners in his wake, and I have him projected at 5% owned. So if you liked him last week, you should probably just like him this week too. Go back to him and get him at like a fraction of the ownership. Especially, I mean, this is a random field. It's a random tournament. You're telling me Will Gordon can't pop off and finish T6? Like, I don't know. Definitely can. I do think it's a good strategy. All right, in lesser field events, this is from JG. Would a good betting strategy beat a bet more long shot guys in the top 20 category with smaller dollar amounts versus deep field with wager more proven guys? I think I'm following. Yes, I guess. So my betting card consisted of I think I got Doc before his number moved, so like 45-1. Sam Burns at 28. Then I did get Davis Riley like Monday morning before. I mean, his number moved. He was at 225. I think he's down to like 100 or 125 last I checked. So that's my card. Although I did also take like Davis Riley top 20. I might have gotten Shank top 20. I do like the idea of taking some of this bottom end of the betting board, not necessarily betting them top 10, betting them top 20, getting them in matchups against one another. I do think that's a better strategy than trying to pick outrights this week. I didn't think the outright market, and quite frankly, the outright market in general is pretty garbage, right? That's how books make their money. So I don't think you should be betting outrights, grinding ROI, right? Grinding three digits of ROI or 3% ROI. This Reds Braves game is still 0-0 in the 13th. The Reds can't score. Who is the likely highest owned golfers above 10K? Easy. So I've got Scotty at 23, Sung Jae at 21, then Will at 15, and Benyon at 9.5. There you go. Is it a good idea to go back to Hudson Swafford? He did everything so good last week. Did he? What do we know about Hudson Swafford last week? He won the golf tournament. He presumably played great. And what I saw with my eyeballs, it looked that way. We don't have the shot link data, right? We don't have the strokes gain data. I don't know if he putted his brains out. I don't know if he chipped in. Like it's hard to say. I think he played great. I think that also for guys that don't win a lot, it is very difficult for them to back it up with a good performance. And we've seen that from Hudson Swafford in the past, right? Like he had that 18 cuts in a row wins, misses 3 cuts. He's never the same. He gets hurt. Like, I think it's a hangover week. I won't play Hudson's too much here. Can I describe Riley's strengths and weaknesses? So from what I understand, makes a lot of birdies. He ranks very highly in the all-around ranking on the Korn Ferry Tour. There are some guys that have, I don't want to say sources say, but there's been some chatter from guys on the Korn Ferry Tour this week that Davis Riley might be better than Will Zalatoris. I haven't seen much of, like I've seen maybe a little bit more than you guys, right? I know the stats. It's not like the Korn Ferry Tour plays on, it's not like I've got ShotLink, or it's not like I've got him on Golf Channel every single week. I'm just trying to piece it together through anecdotes and all that stuff. I think he makes a lot of birdies, which I think comes in handy at a course like this. And I think he is very well regarded amongst his peers. Johnny, hey Johnny, what's up? What did you shoot at Harding Park? And thanks for your insights every week. Appreciate it, bud. Okay, so Harding Park last week. I was at Harding Park last week on Tuesday or Wednesday. I shot an 89, and it was the hardest working 89 I think ever. I mean, it was, first of all, it's not nearly major championship like conditions. I'm playing from like the white tees or whatever. Everybody walks Harding Park. Like 95% of people walk Harding Park. It's a classic 100-year-old course. The tee boxes are right next to the greens. It's awesome. I made the mistake of carrying my bag. And I have a Sunday bag. It's a very small bag. I don't have a lot in it. I was gassed. I have not carried my bag since high school golf. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I was going to be really cool, walk and carry my bag at a major championship venue. Should have got a push cart. I'm an idiot. I was gassed when we got to the back 9. I got on a bogey streak on the back 9. I think I bogeyed like 7 holes in a row. Frankly, 3 of them should have been doubles. I was working really hard on. 3 of them probably should have been pars. I made some big mistakes. Like, it was hard work out there. 89, and I was sore for 3 days. Thanks for checking in. All right, we've covered a couple of these. I'm way behind. I'm going to try to go quicker on questions. There's so many in the chat here. All good. We'll try to get to as many of these as we can. Davis or Rogers? Depends on the format, but I guess Davis. Are you worried about Patrick Rogers not being good on Bermuda? Let's look at it. Strokes gain database. Let's look at Bermuda. Let's go the full database. So let's go 5 years or 6 years. Let's go Bermuda, and let's sort by putting. I love that I can do this. It's the best thing I've ever built. Not even close. Seriously. I'm not kidding. Patrick Rogers. Where is Pat Rogers? Maybe I should have sorted by salary so I could find him easily. Patty Rogers is what, 80 something? Okay, 82. So he gains a quarter of a stroke putting. Oh, I'm not even showing you this. My bad. Sorry. We just missed the whole magic of me like, oh, clicking Bermuda, changing the thing. I'm an idiot. Sorry. Quarter of a stroke per round on Bermuda for Patrick Rogers. 133 rounds. Let's see what he's done on all other grass types. We'll let this load. It's a lot of data. It's going to take a second. So a quarter of a stroke in 133 rounds. Gains about a half a stroke on all other surfaces in 189 rounds. So you are right, Hank Hill. Thanks for showing up. You are the king. You are right that he is worse on Bermuda. Still pretty good, right? So maybe I'm not that worried about it. Is he an anti-specialist? I guess you'd have to categorize him that way. But, yeah, I don't know. Seems fine. No worries. I mean, still a very good putter. If that's the one thing that's stopping you, then just don't play him, I think. I don't know. I'm not that worried about it. Matthew Dukes, Hannah. That's a name I recognize. Thanks for the support. I found myself having quite a bit of Hoffman, JB, and Duffner. You're in trouble. You are in trouble, sir. Man, I don't like any of these guys. I hate to break it to you. I don't know why. So Hoffman, if I remember correctly, the way he's been having these pretty good results seems pretty fluky to me, or it seems kind of all over the place, a little bit of fool's gold. JB Holmes, There's been some JB love this week. I don't really know where it's coming from. Let's look up JB. Greg Ducharme on the First Cut pod also liked Greg Ducharme. Also liked JB Holmes. I don't know why. We don't have a lot of measured data on JB recently. Remember he looked hurt at Safeway, didn't he? Was that where I'm thinking about that? Didn't he look injured? Like he was like limping around or like, I don't know. I don't know JB. Let's look at Duffner. These guys I'm very uninspired by all of these guys, to tell you the truth. I guess Duffner's been better. He's made 5 of 6 cuts. He's doing it with his irons as he usually does. Okay, I'll pump the brakes and say Duffner's probably okay. Hoffman, I think, is kind of fluky. JB, I don't understand. So if someone could help me with that, I don't know. Connors is terrible this week. Does he bounce back? I'm going to say no. I thought it was a very disappointing miscut last week from Corey Connors. I don't think he's been as good as his long-term baseline over the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to say no, he doesn't bounce back. I don't think so. One thing I noticed on Bovada is Sergio is a heavy favorite in head-to-head matchups. I don't even know who that is against. You should take it. Sergio stinks. Probably goes out and wins this week now that I said that. Munoz and Harmon, a combo for good pivots. Let's see. What's Munoz ownership? 13. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. Like off of Burns, I had a real dilemma earlier in the week. Like, did I like Munoz or Burns more? They're pretty close. Burns does not win this twice as much as Munoz does. So that's a pretty good pivot. Harmon, I don't love Harmon. I guess it's okay. Like a ZJ, Zach Johnson pivot there would be pretty interesting. So yeah, good pivots. Will Scheffler be low owned on DK? I don't believe so. I think he's going to be like the 3rd highest owned golfer. My take on Grillo, Joey, is the same take I have every single week on Grillo. He cannot putt. He's going to win again. I don't know if it's 3 weeks, 15 weeks, 50 weeks, or never. Like, I think he's going to win again. There's no indication. It's so hard to deploy a guy where you can't see it coming. So if you're playing Emiliano Grillo, it's because you're hoping to get the week right. I think that's fair to say. There's nothing against him. There's no great course fit. It's just whether or not he's going to putt. He's going to gain 2 strokes and win the golf tournament. What's up, Rick? Just want to say love the show. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. I've answered some of these. David says, I can't seem to get off Anirban Lahiri. My friend, you might have a problem. If you can't get yourself off Anirban Lahiri, let's see what he's been up to. I know he had a top 10 recently, right? I thought he had a top 10 somewhere, didn't he? Corrales? Didn't he have a top 10 at Corrales? Where is he? Where's my guy Anirban? Here he is. Yeah. Okay, so he finished 6th last week. I don't know. I think he loses in a lot of categories. I think you should quit that. That would be my recommendation to you. My Golf Digest pals are high on Fratelli and List. I can't get there on those guys. I saw that. I don't remember who they were. Somebody liked Fratelli. Somebody liked Luke List. I guess Fratelli had a top 10 here last year, and he's a fine player, but I would never say he's going to win the golf tournament. Luke List is exactly what we know him to be. A terrible putter who's going to pop at times. I guess they're just course history guys. I don't buy into the course history as much as I buy into the recent form. So I do not back that sentiment. I have Redmond, Burns, and Rogers as my core. That's not a question, but good luck. Will Gordon hasn't been good. Also not a question. Also pretty good to agree with. Do you have a regular amount of shares you buy per player on Jock Market? So when I'm playing the portfolio game like we have this week, I would say I try to do like 10 shares of the expensive guys and then like 20 shares of the cheaper guys, especially in golf where those cheap guys who are like $1.50 can end up finishing in the top 10. So I try to do like 20 shares of those guys. For the cash markets, it's kind of up to you because it's your own cash you're putting down. So for NFL, I was doing like 5 to 10 shares of each guy. That's worked out well for me. I think there's big money to be made you have to pay for it. There's more shares. NBA tonight's going to be a different animal. I don't know. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So that's from Crop. NBA is going to be awesome. Oh boy. Here's another Jock Market one. DFS Chef says, how long until Jock Market gets on Android? Apparently soon. I don't know what soon means, but I think they're working towards Android and they might be looking for Canada. I don't know. I don't want to speak for those guys, but I think they're working really hard. Just signed up. Jason says, just signed up for the website. My website? Thanks, Jason. If that's the case, are there tutorials? There are tutorials. Let me show you. I'm assuming you're talking about RickRunGood.com because that's the website. So if you scroll down on RickRunGood.com, right here, watch tutorials, takes you to a YouTube playlist of all the tutorials that I have going on right now. I'm second place in my one and done running through. Wait, I just lost my spot. Second and one and done from Aaron. Running through the Masters. Should I eat the chalk with Scheffler and try to pivot in upcoming weeks? First place is almost taking Scheffler. How many people are in this one and done, Aaron? If there's like 1,000 and you're in second, you should also probably take Scheffler. If there's like 10 of you and you're just trying to play for first, maybe first is the only prize, then yeah, play like Sam Burns or something. But if there's a lot of you, I would just play Scheffler as well and figure it out later weeks. Thoughts on Sepp Straka? Yeah, I talked about it already. I like him. Ben on getting the dub this week, Jacob. Woo! Mama. Maybe. What's my handicap? I'm an 8. 7.8. I'm probably worse now. Since COVID, I have not played a lot. And I've played pretty terribly so I've started playing again recently and I've played pretty terribly since. What is Davis Riley's ownership looking like? And is he a pure fade if he's over 10? It's a good question. I hate being on the chalky guy in the sub 6. I have him at 7% ownership. I think he's the type of guy that gets a lot more steam in our community. The people that watch videos, the people that do research, the people that know the Corn Ferry guys. No one else outside of our community plays him, right? Like all the casuals will never play Davis Riley. They'll never do it. So I think he'll be under 10%. I do think if he gets over 10, I hate to be on the chalky guy over, sub 7K. You should probably avoid it. What else? I've answered a lot of these, so I'm going to just keep going. Oh my God. What are we getting spammed here? Okay. I'm going to have to remove all these hearts. That is very distracting. Okay. Let's keep going here. Any interest in Harrington? A little bit. Somebody else liked him as well. Maybe Kyle from First Cut Pod. Maybe Kyle Porter was big in on Harrington. Maybe it was Greg. I can't remember. He's playing well recently, I think. Let's pull him up. We got about 15 minutes left. So if you've got more questions, I'll run through them. If you're still here at this point, hit the like button for me. That's how we'll know to continue to do these. I have not committed to doing these every single week. I'd like to, though, if we can make it worth it. Here's Scott Harrington, back-to-back cuts made, doing it in a fine way at Safeway. I'm okay with this. Did he play? Am I missing results? Did he play Punta Cana? So here's what happens. He did play Punta Cana. So here's a little look behind the curtain here. Finished 14th last week. I think he's a good play. Here's what happens here. I'll update this. The Corn Ferry guys, so So the tour takes a little bit to update the data, and the Corn Ferry guys get updated later. So that's why it's on the cheat sheet, because I refreshed that, but it might not be showing up here because I didn't refresh this since Monday. So I will update this and get it updated for you. So the Corn Ferry guys are always lagging in the data department. What else we got? Who's my favorite to win? I don't know. I think Sam Burns at 28-1 is a really good number. I think he's knocking at the door. He's the guy that I think, look at everything, number, body of work, history here. I think Burns is the best value. And I think he's got a really good chance to win. I also think Doc's going to win soon. I got him at 45. I think he was down to 33. But I'm going to go to answer your question, because I'm going to try to answer your question. I think it's Burns. Favorite between 11, 4, and 9K. That's a pretty big range. 11, 4, and 9K. So basically 9K and up. Okay, so my favorite, just in a vacuum, I guess Sam Burns, right? I just told you I think he's going to win. I think a good pivot. I do think Zach Johnson is a good pivot at 6.8. Yeah, I don't know. Do I like Gligic? I think that we should forgive. I mean, the guy made 5 straight cuts, got kind of popular last week, and burned everybody. I think we should forgive and forget. I think he's just as cheap, 6,500, I want to say. 64. I'm willing to forgive him. I'm willing to give him one more shot. Did you play high school and college golf? Did you try to get a tour card? No. I'm terrible. First of all, I'm definitely better now than I was in high school. I played baseball in college, and that's how I paid for college. So I did not really start taking golf seriously until and I say seriously, meaning I play a lot, until after college. So no, I'm nowhere near, I shank a lot of balls. I'm terrible. Favorite contest to play on DK, Nate. I love the birdie, which is the 20 max $3. I think that is a really good contest for people who want to max enter for cheap, right? You can max enter for $60. There's usually a pretty good first prize, 10K, something like that. I won it at the Masters. I've had some good success in it over the years. I play a very volatile, high risk, high reward strategy on it. And other than that, some of the single entry ones are good. I've started to gravitate towards I forget what it's called, the driver, maybe the $200 single entry, because you get you can max it, right? Single entry, you can max it. And it has a lower rake. I think they only rake it at about 9.5%, 10%, something like that only. And there's usually a 20, 25K first prize. Again, I'm not trying to grind 3% ROI over the next 5 years. I don't care. I'm not doing this for a living. The research, the site, the media side of it, that's the living. I'm trying to have a lottery ticket and have a little fun every single week. That's my strategy. What up, Rick? Run it. Nothing. What's up? Go back to list. I'm not a big fan of him, but I understand it. Answered that. Is it time for Siwoo to finally get his first win? I don't know. I have no idea. The guy's insane. I think he's a really good pivot. I don't know if he's actually going to win the golf tournament. Fertilli or Redmond head to head? Redmond. Am I biased because I've had him on the pod? I don't know. He's an absolute flusher. Third place finish in 2 of his last 3 starts. Give me the Doc, baby. Let's go. Oh my gosh. What are we getting just spammed here? What's going on? Oh my God. I can't even keep track of, we are getting spammed. Bear with me here. Let me see if I can get these out of here. I gotta be on I gotta have somebody on the chat for me. All right. Bronson Burgoon is an outlier. I've not even considered Bronson Burgoon. Let's see what's going on with Bronson. Bronson Burgoon. He's missed 4 of his last 6 cuts. He is not striking it all that well. I'm wondering what kind of model you have that Bronson Burgoon is popping up in there, Blake. Let me know. I don't see it. Would I prefer Zach Johnson or Doc Redman? In a vacuum, Doc Redman. Any worry about Scheffler coming off of COVID? Yes. Yes and no. So I think there was a really good case to be made. Who made this to me? Eric Patterson. On a pod I recorded with him earlier today. It is now out on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel and in the 300 Yards to Unknown feed. If Scotty didn't test positive, would he just have played 2 or 4 rounds at the U.S. Open and that's all that we would have additional? I think that I assume, and I don't know what the guidelines are, but I assume there was some type of quarantine involved for Scotty Scheffler. So I don't know how much golf he's played, but I don't know how much golf he would have played, right? It might have been 2 more rounds at Winged Foot, and that might have been it. And he would have been a favorite coming into this week, and we wouldn't have any concerns about him. So I do have some smaller concerns about Scotty. I do think his form, the rest of the field, kind of outweighed it there. I used Sam Burns last week in the one and done. Who would your next choice be? I would not play Davis Riley in a one and done, Alicia. I think it's a little bit too risky. It's early in the season. You don't have to do that. I would say Munoz, Scotty Scheffler, Sungjae even. I mean, I'll probably save Sungjae. I don't think you have to go that far. Cam Percy, let's look him up. Cam Percy is, because he's got a couple of good finishes in a row. And I thought he was doing it a lot with the putter. Oh, I'm sorry. Remember that thing I told you where I said the Corn Ferry guys are late? That's also true, but I forgot there was no shot link data last week. So I'm looking in the strokes gain database for Corrales last week, and it's not going to be here. That's silly of me. So my bad. Both of those things are true. I thought Percy was putting too well, right? So this is what I saw at Safeway, where I said, okay, he gained 6 shots putting and he finished 23rd. That was his path to victory. It's something or his path to a good finish. That was something he hasn't been able to do over the course of, the last 10 or 12 starts. Now I don't know how he played in Punta Cana last week because we don't have the shot link data. It was a good finish, but I don't know, again, if that's fool's gold. So I would like to see Cam Percy probably one more week before I decide what I'm going to do with him. All right, couple more here. Any love for the mullet? Maybe I should grow a mullet. Pat Perez. Let's look at Patty P. He didn't play last week, right? Did he play last week? Let's check it out. How much is he? He's got to be in like the 7s, right? 8,500. Oh, he did play last week. 21st last week. Again, I don't have shot link data on it. 9th the week before. Man. Again, kind of similar to, I guess he's similar to Percy, but a little bit better. Where he relies a bit on the short game, the flat stick specifically, but he is more well-rounded. I probably won't get there DFS chef, but I could understand it. Wes Bryan has been asked a couple of times. I've not talked about Wes Bryan. Let's look up Wes. What do we know about Wes? Can't hit it very far. Does that matter here? Probably not. I think that Wes relies on this right here, the approach game. For him to have success, he needs to hit his approach as well, and he needs to putt well because he's not going to bomb it. Now, I don't know. Let's see. This is what, 7,400 yards, par 72. It's not critically long, right? I mean, that's okay. Driving distance wasn't one of the most important stats or even close to it. I could be okay with Wes Bryan. Again, not thrilled. All right. Here's what we're going to do. That'll basically do it for this week. A lot of good questions, much appreciated. Sanderson Farms. If you like this and you want this every single week, hit the like button. Takes you 2 seconds. That's all I'm asking. Try to commit to this each and every week moving forward. My friends over at Jock Market, which is something that I really enjoy and was able to forge a partnership with them, are awesome. Support them. There is a NBA Finals cash market tonight. You can buy shares of LeBron James with real cash. It is going to be bananas, and I'm going to love it. Support them. RickRunGood.com for all the stuff. I don't know what else to say. RickRunGood.com. Everything's there. Thank you for all the support. Really appreciated. Best of luck this week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.